There are some studies coming out saying that there are speech delays. There's actually lower IQs in kids that were born during COVID. And for a lot of parents, maybe they don't have an option. Maybe they have to send their kid to daycare. They have to send their kid to a school that has, a mask requirement. And so I'm not putting all the blame on the parents, but also there are a lot of parents. I see, there are kids playing in parks in our neighborhood and the kids have masks on and the parents don't. So it's crazy. So I do think we're going to see developmental delays. I think we're probably going to see speech delays. But I also think that it just kind of creates a culture of distrust and division in a time where division is one of our biggest problems. And we're talking about the importance of loving our neighbor. Well, I mean, if you regard your child and you teach your child to regard other people primarily as a vector of a virus and as safety as the first priority in everything, you are not discipling your kids to be a self-denying Christian and following the Jesus that touched lepers, for sure. But also, I think it just creates a culture of fear in general, even outside of the church. And that just makes me sad. It makes me sad. I don't think that creates a strong, cohesive society.
Yeah, I would argue too that I think on the right sometimes that we've taken this issue and we've turned it into kind of a political football as well. And I think we have to have the conversation going back to intimacy and what are the things that that are in our culture that are blocking intimacy.
Yeah,
and certainly, me not being able to see a face is a blocking of intimacy. I remember when I first got out of college and I would jump on an airplane, and really up until COVID, I'd always talk to the person next to me. And now that since COVID, I don't talk to anybody on an airplane because it's too much work. It's like, man,
Yeah.
like, what?
You can't understand them.
So
Yeah.
everyone's just sitting there and nobody's communicating, and then we wonder
so
why Karen blows her top or whatever, and everyone's so angry. Well, we're not connecting. Even I think that there was a direct correlation with a lot of the racial problems that we've had in the church as well. That all manifested and came out after COVID because we weren't meeting together. Like the church that you're at, that Jill and I were at for a long time, is probably 50% African American. And so we were coming together on Sunday morning, and there may have been cultural differences in the body and all that, but we were coming together as the body of Christ.
Yep.
And it was like, man, we got to do life together and figure this out. And even, I mean, there's Democrats in that church that we love and we differ on things, but man, we're coming together. And then when COVID happens, it just isolates everybody. And then we're behind a screen, and now I don't have to do life with you.
Yeah.
Well, that's a precursor for division and fights because I don't have to do life with you anymore. And I think it's part of kind of this idea of even the metaverse and everything's like moving towards isolating people, keeping them in their home. And I think the church has to come in at this point, and we have to speak a message of not just redemption, but also restoration, that we can restore back local communities and cultures and things of this sort. And to me, I think that's why the local church, and I think God's moving in like small churches again, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like God's moving these little small communities, and and you see it all over the country, all over the world right now.